So you've probably heard for your sales page to care most about the headline and the first paragraph. Actually not the case. After analyzing over 300 sales page customer recordings, where I can actually see where they drop off and where they stick around, we are looking at one of the most underutilized and most overlooked sections on our page that no one's talking about. And in this video, I want to give you actually a formula to begin to elevate it so that your people help to convert more. You help really with addressing their objections and really melting more of that anxiety that they might have that they wouldn't even know how to tell you before they buy. And let's get into it. And hey, I'm Danielle. I'm an ethical sales conversion expert specializing in sales funnels and sales messaging to help more online entrepreneurs convert their next 100 buyers with ethics and ease. So when it comes to this section, I know I'm keeping it a little bit mysterious, but it's because I want to make a good case for it. Since so often when we're talking about sales pages, it's so easy to just kind of like rinse and repeat from what we've been taught. There's so many templates out there. There's so many things. But when you actually look at the data behind where our customers are moving, where they're interacting, it's not where you think. Yes, they are 100%. The first two sections are always going to be price and testimonials. They want to see what's the actual amount, and then who are the people like them who are also in this program who've gotten results. But the third most looked at part of your page is your what you get page. It's your deliverables section. It is the part where you actually list out the things that they get when they go into the container with you. So for example, if it's a course, maybe you have 4 modules, maybe you have like 5 PDFs, maybe if you're doing a service, it's like 3 one-to-one calls and a 24/7 WhatsApp, whatever it may be for you. That is what I call the what you get section or the deliverable section. It really goes by a lot of different names, but you'll always see it in the headline. It's usually at the last part of the page, or at least last quarter, that is titled what's included, what you get, what you walk away with. Anything in those phrases is a section we're going to look at. And what's most surprising to me is how much this thing is looked at, because it's, again, tied to the price, and yet we're not utilizing it to help our people convert quicker, because we're going to address things that actually matter to them instead of just another PDF they're worried they might already have in their inbox from someone else. So the reason why the sales page section matters is because it is one of the only parts of your page that is actually talking about what is going to be inside the container. Yes, the actual sales page is meant to help convince them, help them to like connect into their vision and kind of what makes your container unique. But what's actually inside is only in this one section. So why are we not better utilizing it to help our people? So when I'm talking about this, so often we look at it as just, okay, let's write up the bare bones of what it is, where it's just, here's a PDF, here's a thing, let's go into it. And you're not really understanding that every single part of your sales page especially needs to be helping them to create that experience to get them to say yes. And so often it is 100% a headline and paragraphs, but if you're also not using the part that they go to usually first, second, third, fourth, fifth time, which is the price that's usually connected to the what you get, you are missing out on so much. And actually I had a client who we did this formula with where she was able to see a huge jump in her conversions and also her interest in the offer, because people now actually understood why that PDF, why that Zoom recording matters to actually propel them further, versus just another PDF, another 4-module course that doesn't really get them to understand the importance of those modules, versus just being another amount of videos they get to put in their course graveyard. Now, I hope I've made a good enough case to realize like this section actually matters, yet no one's utilizing it properly. And I want to give you the taste of what it can look like for you and your offer, no matter whatever it is. It could be a course, it could be a service, it could be a membership, whatever it is. It could be a physical product. Because no matter what, you're always going to have this section on a page because people need to understand what you're buying. But if you're wanting your offer to become something that is able to sustain for months and years on end, where it's able to actually consistently sell for you, you need to give them more context and have them connect that more to their 3D vision they're wanting this product to give them. So what I want you to realize with this section is the biggest thing we're trying to get here is to get you more specific on pairing that PDF, that video, that call with their desire or their objection without just stating this is your desired objection. You've probably heard when it comes to sales page copywriting, there's a phrase a lot of people use, which is so that you can. And that little phrase is usually tied to something like this, where it is tying to a not so, for lack of a better word, a not so sexy or juicy part of what you give them, and tying it to a part that actually matters to them so they understand the correlation between why that PDF matters to get them there. But the issue with so that you can is that it's really overused, and a lot of times it's not actually teaching you the skill of how to write movie scene level specific copy. Because when you're trying to create and help your people to get into the emotional headspace they need to be in to be that yes, the easy way to get that, if you're not already going to do a call with them, if you're trying to make this become one of the main assets that's going to sell for you, means you have to make sure that each part of your page is going to give this experience. So instead of us moving into a so that you can, what I want you to move into is how can we better shape up their entire 3D vision of what their life will look like on the other side in the best case scenario. Because it's so important for you to realize that I don't want you to change your course. I don't want you to add more prices. I don't want you to add anything else into it, nor do I think you need to. But I think what happens is that you are a really great expert at what you do, but we're not really taught how to create that level of specific copy. And you've seen it before. I mean, think about a fiction novel where they describe it so particularly, so specifically that you can envision it in your mind's eye. I actually had this really great one recently that I read that had this phrase saying that snow blankets the grass. That one phrase, you can see that in your mind's eye, that it's blanketing the grass. You can kind of already know from your own experience what that level of snow would be, how it would look, so you've seen it before. And for your people, they've never really experienced that other side before, that desire they have. So it's so hard for them sometimes to actually connect to that desire. So when we create that specific level of copy, those phrases we can come back to, it actually allows them to then connect that deeper and make it feel more believable, more realistic. Because if you're always coming with them at this is going to change your life, you've probably heard enough infomercials by now to realize that you kind of already feel a little bit too good to be true. So we can't always lean on the so that you can or what you give them kind of response. You have to pair it with the different layers of what is holding their hesitation to buy from you back, which is always going to be around their belief, I talk about in another video around the beliefs they need to have in order to buy from you. So belief is one huge part. The other part is going to be around their, again, desires is a part of it. I'm not going to lie. The other piece is around the objections, and this goes beyond FAQs. I talk about this in a separate video around actually how to use your FAQs so they work for you instead of always just putting down the Zoom call would be ready from 12 to 1 p.m. It's not really helping your people with objections on that guttural level that actually gets them to buy. It's more of just helping their brain be oh, I get it. So I'll teach you a little bit about kind of my Mad Lib approach when it comes to this part, with the first step being, so instead I want you to use this section. I want you to first just list out all that you're giving them in the section. So it could be anything as small as an email check-in, could be as big as 10 plus calls. It's really up to whatever container you're creating, and just list it out. You might already have it in your sales page. Then what I want you to do, and I talk about this so much deeper, I have a whole PDF on it in the bullet points course, because I felt called to create an entire program to help with this, because it is, again, one of the most underlooked parts of your page. So once you write out this part, I want you to then put that to the side and then move into this area, which is actually going to make you turn on your brain and let us get into that really creative, imaginative space. I know it's very difficult, especially for those who are naturally more logical. I have clients who come to me who are on both sides of the spectrum, those who are more emotional and spiritual, those who I have clients who have been hypnotherapists, who are spiritual healers, those who have more intangible things where even though they can get to the emotion very quickly, it's hard for them to articulate what that emotion or desire is for them and for their people, and really understand how to position themselves. The other side of people who I've had, people who are bookkeepers, I've had clients who, even in this program, I've had clients who are bookkeepers, I've had them be coaches, I've had wedding planners, I've had everything on the board where, again, your brain's but I can't think that way. I don't know how to. This will actually teach you how to get that level of specific that you need to be in your copy, because even on either side, wherever you are in the spectrum, if you're in the middle, you have the ability to have someone guide you through creating that layer of specificity. I usually do it where I have you write out every part of their life that'll be affected through this course. So often we think, for example, if you have a money course, we think that the natural then solution will be that they have a bigger bank account, they're going to have more time, they're more freedom. But what actually gets you to have more juicy, more converting type of copy is if you take the time to see how that money part will affect their health, will affect their leisure time, will affect their spirituality and their beliefs. There's a way to go in where it's so deep, where you're helping to create that more holistic, real life change that will happen, because so often we just kind of allow ourselves to stick with the big three in marketing, which is looking at their health, wealth, and relationships, which is important. But where the actual then more value, that perceived value of wow, your course is so much more valuable than I realized, comes from showing them how much this can change their life beyond those big three. Because think about if you're going to have someone who comes to you and be like, I can help you with your foot problem. That's great. But if I can help you with your foot problem so that you can walk better, so that you can actually have bigger workouts, so that you can go on dates with people and feel confident, not having to worry if you take a long walk spontaneously, so that you can be able to walk into your boss's meeting and be able to feel so confident. I hope you understand that that one foot problem now looks so much more valuable with those pieces added, versus if you were just to see a straight up, I'm going to help you with your foot, you're not going to say no to it, but you're going to understand you can help me with this foot thing, but this person can help me with this foot thing, and 4 other pieces that really are just the same thing, but you're helping them to see it in a different light. That is what we're trying to create here. So again, write out all those pieces of how it affects their life. Get super specific. I do this in the actual program where I give you 3 levels of why, how to put yourself through that layer of true specific type of copy, that movie scene level specific copy where you can see it in your mind's eye. And then from there, we Mad Lib approach it if you're going to use that part, or we actually take time to also do the second part, which matters, around the objections, around what is actually coming up for your people beyond just, I don't have the time, I don't have the money. Let's actually go into the nitty gritty of why they're saying that. And again, when it comes to understanding the time and money pieces, there's a lot of truth to that. Obviously, if people don't have that much time and don't have that much money, it's not to pressure them, but it's for those people who are using it as a way to not realize that it's more of an excuse than a reason. People understand. There are people who truly know that they don't have the money for this, and that's great. You let them go on, live their life, they come back to us when they're ready, that's great. But for most people, especially if you know your people very well, more often they're using that as a way to just be like, I'll get to it later. It's not as big of a priority for me. I'm not as big of a priority for me to invest in this right now. And that's why adding in these pieces around the objections that we're going to add into, and also the desire pieces, helps to create that no-brainer, because you are creating a better, more convincing case for them to understand oh no, I actually need this now. I need to be able to invest in myself because they're showing me this vision I didn't even realize that was there. So when you're able to have that blend out there, and you're able to have the desires, have the objections, and then be able to merge it together in a way that's not just creating paragraphs of text at the end of it, you actually create a more cohesive, a more convincing, a more converting what you get section without having to worry about them coming to you with 1,000 questions, because you actually have unspokenly answered all of them by tagging these pieces into your what you get section. Okay, so let's go actually to one of my clients' examples, because I think it's really important for you to see how this before and after can look. So this is one of the times where my client was one of the people who had one of those more intangible type of experiences where she helps them more on an energetic and emotional side that's really hard to explain. So instead of us just calling, you can help them for a year, you can help them be able to do it through Zoom recordings to get them more productivity. Let's expand that, and you'll see here we actually changed certain parts so that when you read this before and after, you can't tell me that you don't see a difference, that you don't feel more convinced, understood, and feel that more experience you're meant to feel, to be on the other side and be like, this is a no-brainer. Versus the other side, you'd be like, this seems like it's great, a lot of value, but I maybe don't need it right now. The other side makes the better case, and that's what we're trying to do here. And you'll see with my other client too, on more of the matter-of-fact side of it, where it's more of a nutrition type of course where she's able to help them go through and help them to reduce bloating, that kind of piece. As you can see here, it's again very matter-of-fact. It's what you see in a lot of programs where it's just like, here's the course, here's what you get, versus when we actually identified their desires and actually identified what matters most to them. That is when things change and you can see the difference. Again, it's not going to be always a huge change where it's tons of copy, but just that slight elevation helps to convert more people for her. She had, and it's because we aren't really taught how much this matters. But think about it as a way to be able to help your people without having to do another call, without having to do another email. How amazing would that be to be able to finally be able to help your people more to convert or just make a decision? Maybe it's a no, and that's fine. But helping them to make that decision quicker so that they can actually either become a client of yours or they can go off on their own and then come back to you later because you've helped them now make a better, more informed, and quicker decision, and they're going to thank you for it either through their money, their time, attention, or bringing someone else to you. So if you have any questions, let me know, but I hope you enjoyed this mini training almost, and to be able to find a solution that works for you. So I want you to try this out. If you want to go in deeper to actually know how to use this to tag into your objections, to learn how to actually be able to have me look at your stuff for you, you can go to the program below, or feel free to drop down as well. Feel free to drop down as well one of your bullet points of the what you get section. And I'll try and help you to get a little bit more specific so you can start to see the change roll in for you. But I can tell you from seeing how much of a difference this makes, and I'll put up a couple of examples here and here, to understand that it is so worth your time to spend the hour or two to do it. I actually made this program so that you could go top to bottom and be done within 90 minutes. I created it very actionable. I also added a part for those who feel like they're not prolific copywriters, help you to actually tap into that part of yourself, along with when you get writer's block, how to get out of it too, an actual exercise you can do right now that'll help you flip it immediately. It is so valuable and so worth it, and I just hope that you get to leave this with even just starting to workshop it on your own. If you know that it's time for you to be able to have more conversions in a way that allows you to not have to do anything else except for just focus on this one section that will later bleed into every other part of your sales page, you will be in a really good spot and your people will convert more and connect more with you for it. So let me know if you have any questions. I want to make sure this is something that you're able to go into, you feel confident with, and also you understand how important this can be.